Yeah, south inside the Beltway, just a bit. Oh, yeah, inside Highway 6, between the Beltway and Highway 6, looking like a lot of outages there as well. So,
Sorry.
oh, good. Just keeping an eye on that. I mean, we appreciate you guys updating us on our Facebook page, commenting and letting us know where you are seeing the weather. And of course, asking any questions that you want to ask. Now, here is an area that I'm not familiar with, Pleak.
Yeah, that's down in Fort Bend County.
Okay.
It's down in like far southern Fort Bend County. In fact, I can go ahead and zoom in on Pleak for you because yes, it is starting to come down there big time. So let's see, that is near Beasley. So there's Beasley, and there is good old Pleak. And this is a look at without the lightning. Now it has started to come down there. For those of you in Richmond, Rosenberg, Beasley, Pleak, and Needville. And this is the beginning of what's probably going to be a pretty solid hour of some really heavy rain, probably until at least about 2:30. You can see that actually stretching across the screen here from Katy down through East Bernard, and there's Pleak there right in the middle of the screen where we have some of the heaviest rain coming through. And so I would just stay put there. I mean, the tough part is in Needville ISD and even Lamar Consolidated and all those places down there in Fort Bend, school is going to be letting out soon. If you're thinking about heading to school and picking up the kids early, I would probably just wait because at this point in Fort Bend and even in Katy, the kids are in a safe place. I think going and trying to get them out now, they're probably going to be. In other words, you're taking a bigger chance even going out on the road and driving through this nonsense, than to just let them stay. So I think and that's the advice that I would give anyone. I mean, it's the advice I would give my own family is just, the girls are at school, they're fine. Just wait for all this to pass. I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I thought this was interesting as well because we got a shot of downtown right now, what it's looking like there. People have been reporting high winds in that area, and you know more about that cloud cover situation there, but definitely looking like a gloomy situation as it looks like across our area.
Well, we should check back in on that camera from time to time because it's going to be really going downhill. It's really that, downtown Houston, I know a lot of people were even online right now. I was reading some of the comments and they were asking about some places, are we going to get any rain inside the loop, Kyle says, and absolutely, it is coming, maybe give it another 30, 45 minutes, but it is definitely coming. It's been obviously worst for the Woodlands and Spring, for Tomball, Cypress, Katy, and Sealy and those spots. Okay, well, here we go. See, this is, Jamie says, can you show a future track, please? And that is an excellent question and something that we are going to hook you up with right now.
And you can see this on our weather app as well with the interactive radar.
Ramisha's over in our weather center.
Yeah, I was
would you mind pulling up one of the future casts, like the graph or the HRRR1?
Yeah, give me a minute. I'm switching shows. So
yeah, sorry, I caught you off guard, but I wanted to just answer that question for Jamie because yes, it's important to know where the rain is going to be in 30 minutes, but she might want to know where's the rain going to be in 3 hours, or where's the rain going to be tonight.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that the rain should be coming to an end by around 5 or 6. So it'll all move out of here by around 5 or 6 o'clock this evening, and then that's it. It's all going to be out of here. So that's what we have to look forward to. It's going to get cold, and it's going to get clear. But for what's happening right now, it's going to get a whole lot worse before it gets better. Look, oh, here we go. Okay, this is a brand new warning that just came out. So this is going to be a severe thunderstorm warning for those exact areas that we were just talking about for our friends down in Pleak. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 2 p.m. and this is for parts of Harris County. So this is for Fort Bend and for Harris County. This is rated as a high impact. event from the National Weather Service. A tornado will be possible, although right now the indications are not strong enough to support a tornado warning. We do have the, okay, so Jamie, up on your screen right now is the Futurecast. And I think Ramesh is going to go ahead and sort of like show you like what, what's happening through the day. So this is now 2 o'clock, and then looking ahead at 3 and 4 and 5 on your Futurecast there. You see how it all moves out. So as we head into the late afternoon, that's it, and we stay kind of windy, and the heavy rain moves away. So that's what we have to look forward to. But I wanted to let me just read you this. So locations that are in the path of this severe thunderstorm warning include Sugar Land and Missouri City, Meadows Place, Southwest Houston, New Territory, Alief, Bel Air, and Rosenberg. Back here on Links 1, if you could. A severe thunderstorm warning is in effect until 2 p.m. Severe thunderstorm was spotted near Kendleton. That's about 10 miles to the southwest of Rosenberg. And this is moving to the northeast at 50 miles per hour. Just like all of these storms have been moving basically northeast at 50 miles per hour. Because of the fact that there still is a tornado watch in effect, it means that any of these severe thunderstorm warnings that pop up could turn into tornado warnings if these storms just decide to spin up a little bit. So let's go ahead. I will put a tracker on here and see where the sort of the main part of this thing is going to be going. So it's moving at about 50 miles per hour. Okay, so real fast. So we can draw this line and get some estimates as to where this thing is going. So it's going to be moving toward places like the heavy rain moving into Mission Bend in 7 minutes, Meadows Place in 12 minutes, even heavy rain moving into Piney Point Village, the Memorial Villages area, in about 20 minutes. Spring Branch in about 23 minutes, Bel Air about 25 minutes, West U in about 26 minutes. And just keep in mind this doesn't mean that it's going to start raining in 20 minutes because it's already raining, but I'm kind of trying to time out for you the center of this severe thunderstorm that could be bringing hazardous conditions, damaging winds and things like that.
So
and then,
is this the same, the same cell that we might see hitting the downtown area in about half an hour?
Excellent. Yes, that's exactly it. I mean, this is the one that's going to be moving into a lot of the areas that haven't seen the heavy rain yet. So this mess that I know is just, it is coming down absolutely in buckets around Rosenberg, Richmond, and then especially the southern part of Fort Bend County, Needville. I know you guys are getting slammed right now, but all of that is going to move towards Sugar Land and Missouri City, and even like eventually the southwest side of Houston and Harris County are going to start getting it here within the next 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and by 2 o'clock, 2:30, 3 o'clock, it is going to be right in Houston, right all across Harris County and downtown Houston, and which I know is going to pose a lot of questions for those of you who are either stuck at work, and you need to leave, or you're wondering what you're going to do as far as picking up the kids, because it is going to be really hitting right at that time. Misty on Facebook says Sheldon High School has no electricity. So that is obviously a concern.
Yes, indeed.
Barbara says, when is Sharpstown going to get some strong storms? Well, it is moving on in there in Sharpstown. You give that another 10, 15 minutes, it's going to all start going downhill. Yvette Ruiz, should we be concerned about hail? Yes. It's not a huge concern. Flooding is a bigger concern.
Okay. I'm seeing on this severe thunderstorm warning that hail, quarter-size hail, is possible. Weren't we already seeing some hail in other areas? Has that been confirmed?
Yeah, there was some hail that was being reported out there in the Katy area, and we had Tom Ziska was driving out there with the photographer Matt Matejka, and he said they briefly drove through some hail, small hail, when they were driving out there. But aside from that, if you're on Facebook right now, let us know, because I would like to to know if if you are seeing hail out there. If we were to see hail, it is most likely coming in. I'll zoom in right on it right now, and it's right down here in the. Let me turn off the. It's right down there in Pleak and in Rosenberg. That's where we're going to have the best chance for hail. We can. There are a couple of products we can check out here that give us an idea of where the hail is. This, where you see the brightest purples here, that's one of the signs of where there's hail. This one is also going to show these purple colors where there's the likelihood for seeing hail, and we can go ahead and click on it and get some ideas. Half-inch hail there around Needville, and even up to Rosenberg. And that doesn't mean it's going to be nonstop hail, but there's hail in the cloud, or there's very likely hail in the cloud in those areas. And not so much what we're seeing in Houston. Okay, let me focus in here on Liberty County, because I didn't
ask you, Mike, what are the conditions that will lead? You're saying hail is in the cloud, is like just sitting there. What conditions will cause it to go ahead and drop?
Well, it's being held up by an updraft. So the air is moving up, and it is keeping those hailstones, the ice, tumbling through the thunderstorm. And then after a while, once the updraft kind of weakens, then it'll all fall out. And so that's where you could, and of course it'll sometimes melt as it falls, or it'll sometimes kind of shrink as it falls, or but at a minimum, you're probably going to get some dime or penny size hail down there south of 59 in Fort Bend County.
Yeah, and we're getting more comments about just the weather in different areas. Crystal is saying her fiance is driving home from Katy. It's flooding where he had to work today. Just want to remind everyone, maybe this is a message you can pass along to him. If you see water, because we're already getting some totals, 5 inches at this point. I don't know if you have anything higher than that, Mike, but that was the latest that I saw.
Yeah, let me check with Harris County.
Yeah, we know that's a major concern for us in the Houston area, those streets flooding. And just want to remind people, if you do have to be out there, if you see flooding, go ahead, turn around, don't drown. I know it gets repetitive because we have to keep saying it, because we often, run across people who end up in emergency situations, stuck in their cars or stuck on the road, trying to ride this out. But the idea is, if you don't have to be out on the roads, don't be out on the roads. And if you are on the roads and you run across water, you often cannot tell how deep it is. So best not to drive through it. Find another way around if you have to. But you don't know how deep it is. You don't know what's in there. So turn around.
Well, some of these rainfall totals are really, if you start getting up to 5 inches, you're like, man, this was a really nasty weather day. So north of Brookshire in Waller County, we have, for those of you who live out there, this is on FM 359, 5.28 inches of rain.
Wow.
Katy had about 3.5. And we've had accumulations right now, and this isn't radar estimated, this was measured. Cypress Creek at Katy Hockley Road, 4.92 inches, so let's just give it 5 inches there. Spring has had about 3 3/4 inches of rain. The Woodlands had a solid 3.5 inches of rain. And then heading down south of Katy, in Fort Bend, it's been so far about 1.5 inches, but those totals are definitely going to be added to. So the highest totals that we've had so far are on a streak from Katy to Cypress to the Woodlands and Tomball, 3 to 5 inches. And you know what? When you looked at our Futurecast this morning, that was basically what we were, kind of thinking, 3 to 5 inches. And so one thing I want to show you, and I hate to ever get overly optimistic, but I think if you take a look at how things are developing here, if you guys come to your screen and take a look at this, it's starting to move. So whereas before, if we were to back this up in time, I'm going to go ahead and back this up by an hour. So if we back this up by a whole hour, you had this area that was just getting, it was like this corridor right there, that the rain just kept falling over that exact same location over and over and over. And that's why we had this 3 to 5 inches, downpours right there. But now, if we put this into motion, you'll see that the rain is finally, looks like it is starting to move off toward the, finally starting to get some speed here off toward the east, which would help a lot of those areas like Katy, which, as it looks right now, in Katy, you are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. Because this stuff finally does look like it's moving out of the Katy area, and you guys have been hit so hard. Now, what it also means, though, is that this mess is headed toward Houston. So this whole big batch of rain is moving into Houston, and along with it comes heavy rain and high winds also. It's going to be really gusty winds. The power might go out and all that stuff. So this is going to be pretty rough in the city of Houston over about the next hour, but I'm happy, as long as it moves through with some speed, some haste, then the risk for flooding goes way down.
Okay.
So I'm encouraged.
Yeah, by that.
I'm feeling good.
Flood advisory for Montgomery County.
Okay, JD, do we want to go to JD?
Just letting you know. Either way.
Well, I think we should go to you.
All right.
All right, yeah, we were just talking about just trying to keep up with what's been coming in. Finally, those advisories from the National Weather Service have slowed down a little bit. As Mike's been talking about, things by no means are over. I think the city of Houston actually is really getting itself lined up to get a hammering here in an hour or so as the storms are really kind of getting lined up. But right from the National Weather Service, the latest advisory is the flood advisory. So there's several of them here on the map that they've been issuing, but the latest one is adding in here to Montgomery County and more particularly the populated areas there in the Woodlands. So if you're in the Woodlands, you're probably aware that it has been raining quite a bit and the intensity has increased. And so what's already fallen plus what's expected to fall issues that flood advisory. As I mentioned, that adds on to several other flood advisories that we've already seen. So the one that's highlighted right now, which is a little bit more that northwestern corner of Harris County, that's the one that's currently going to go until 2:30, and then we'll see if we can get this focused in a little bit more on the one that was just issued. This one that was just issued is the one that is currently going to be up in the Woodlands. Let me get it positioned here where we can see that a little bit better. That's the one that's going to go until 3. So this 3 o'clock one is for the new one that was just issued for Montgomery County. So I'm going to go ahead and move back a little bit. Mike was talking a little bit earlier about maybe some future casts, sort of give us an idea of what's going to unfold a little bit. So I thought I would take a minute and sort of play that back again on what we're expecting as far as the future cast is concerned. This is a rough estimate of, we're not going to time this down to the minute or the second on what we're expecting, but the general idea here is certainly in place where we've got some very windy conditions right now for the southeast. Again, I'm showing you a futurecast product, what we're expecting to happen. And as we move through time just a little bit, we are going to get to about let's go ahead and pull it up to about 2:30. Notice how around 2:30 to 3 o'clock or so, these showers and storms get a little bit more squeezed together, a little bit more like a line of storms. When that happens, a lot of times the intensity cranks up as well. So again, I'm showing you a future cast, what we're expecting to happen. These line of storms are going to get a little bit more organized. We've had a little bit of a lull right now. At least we haven't been talking about tornado warnings and we haven't been repeatedly talking about severe thunderstorm warnings. We still have one out there, but we do expect this to continue to get a little bit more organized, and most of the time what we expect to see there is intensity levels to kind of increase a little bit. So particularly those gusty winds are what I'm most concerned with. Those wind gusts that could create problems. That's going to definitely potentially cause some power outages is something that we're looking at. So if you're in those southern portions, let's say you're in Galveston County, League City, maybe even over towards the Clear Lake area, you've seen the wind, but you haven't seen those amounts of flooding yet, or you haven't seen those tornadic opportunities. All of that's still going to be with us. So let me me advance this a little bit more to show you how quickly this happens. Mike mentioned this a minute ago, how this, with some haste, we're hopeful that this is going to move through, and that means it will end quickly if it can keep its speed up. This is about 5 o'clock, so give or take a little on what we're talking about, but by 6 o'clock, I think for sure, we've cleared the downtown area with the worst of what we're expecting. Maybe there's a little bit of light rain left over. Maybe the water on the ground is still causing a problem if it's temporarily flooded a low-lying roadway or something. But the bulk of what's creating the problems will have moved to the east, at least, of the downtown Houston area. So this continues to move fairly rapid as far as the speed goes. I want to show you our current warning that we do have in place right now, because we were talking about what's happening, what's not happening across the area. I want to see if I can pull up the current thunderstorm warning that we're looking at so that we know that. And what I want to show you kind of is this trend on what's getting set up here. I'm going to show you another graphic here in just a minute, but here's that warned area. So Rosenberg, Sugar Land, just right up 59 and eventually 69 into the downtown Houston area. This orange shading shows that severe thunderstorm warning. Officially, it's going to go until 2 o'clock, so we're talking about 15, 18 more minutes as far as what that's been issued. But this has not weakened at this point in time. I would expect, and again, the Weather Service is in charge and they can handle their own warnings. I'm not going to be issuing their warnings, but I would suspect that this system stays strong enough that another warning will have to be reissued to readjust for its movement on where it's going. So that's something that we'll be looking for, this strong line of storms. Maybe it's going to be a little bit further to the south, definitely a little bit further to the east, and for the most part, inside the Beltway, for sure inside the loop, has not seen the strongest of the storms. This part of this energy of this line of storms is what we're really focused on, what we're watching right now. I would expect that within 10 to 15 minutes, this is going to have to be reissued. I think it'll maintain enough strength that it will do that. It might include downtown Houston. It might go a little bit further to the southeast, giving us a little bit more time. We'll see exactly how that progresses. But this is where the energy is right now, and it is beginning to line itself up a little bit more with the downtown Houston area, who has again escaped the worst of what's been happening across the area. So as we're watching our warnings, this is certainly one that we don't want to skip over. It is the one that's the most of concern at the moment, this severe thunderstorm warning. And when we talk about that, we're talking about strong winds, damaging winds. We're talking about the possibility of a tornado, but at this point, I think we would be issuing tornado warnings if we really thought that that's what was going to be happening here. But the potential is there. And then also the hail that could be damaging, the larger amounts, 1 to 2 inch size hail could be kind of mixed in here as well. All of that, again, lots of energy still left for these areas to the south who haven't seen as much of the rain and the storm, the thunder and the lightning. It's still getting lined up. It's still potentially going to be moving its way through. I'm going to take off our warning for just a minute so we can kind of get a little bit of an idea of that intensity. I've got the lightning counter turned on here. Not the counter, but I've got the lightning indicator here switched on. I'm going to let Mike take over and show you a lightning counter here in just a moment. But I am going to sort of set up and show where we're seeing that intensity. When you have more lightning, you're going to have more storms, the stronger storms. That's just something that correlates together the majority of the time. And that's certainly what we're seeing here with all of this lightning. And you can even see, notice the lightning bolts that are popping out ahead of the rain itself. So that's why we always talk about, just because it's not raining on you right now, when you hear that thunder and see that lightning in the distance, it could easily jump forward to where you are as well, even though you're not getting rained on at the moment. So this is that storm. It's got a lot of energy. There's a lot of energy waiting for it. Not a lot of rain has happened over here south of downtown. So that energy is still there, ready to release, and this is the system that, again, is kind of moving on through. Let me double check. I think we might have a new warning that just came in. All right, I'm being told that's going to be a tornado warning that we have. I don't see. Fort
Bend County until 2 p.m. and this is
All right, I'm going to pull that up. If we can real quick, Fort Bend County until 2 p.m. So I talked about having to reorganize that severe thunderstorm warning. Sometimes you don't have to wait for it. You got to issue a tornado warning when that kind of gets a little bit more active. I will say that where I am over here, Mike, my velocity product is not showing. So I want to be able to turn this over to one of our other meteorologists who have a velocity product that they could show. That's primarily what we do for the tornado warning. So let me just set it up real quick. This lasts into 2 o'clock, so that's only 14 minutes. That's going to be pretty quick. This is going to be in Fort Bend County, and it's going to be a possibility of some rotation. Radar indicated that could be happening within that thunderstorm, so that's why we see that tornado warning. So Mike, do we want to go check in with Mike on this one?
Yeah, let me just say something real quick, and then we do have meteorologist Ramisha Shade, who is over on the weather wall. If you could come to me real quick, I don't know if my mic's open. Is my mic open?
I think so.
Okay. Well, so this is an alert, guys. We are talking about places like Riverstone, Missouri City, Siena. I don't know, guys, if, you see, if you could take links 1 for a second, that'd be great, because I do have the velocity product on here too, where we can kind of see where again we have that kind of rotation signature there. Now this is still to the south and west of Siena, but I mean you can see how it pops up there, Siena Parkway and Highway 6, even over to Iowa Colony.
Yeah,
and
Trammell,
Trammell, Fresno, that area, and north of there is like Lake Olympia, and so those. Well, you know that area.
Yeah, that's why I was like, that looks like the area around Hightower, and
that's Chelsea's. That's Chelsea's
my
place
old
right there.
stomping grounds under a tornado warning right now. So I'm seeing that hail again possible there.
Somewhat concerning here.
Because it looks like a.
It's a fast mover.
Yeah. So I know we had some more questions about what to do in the case of a tornado warning. So again, you want to go as for the warnings. Let's actually backtrack, because our web team, if you're watching us on our live stream on our Facebook page, the web team pinned this post about the difference between a tornado warning versus a tornado watch. And I know you go over this over and over again, Mike, every time we have this, but I just want to touch on that just a little bit so people know as they're watching what we're talking about when we say tornado warning.
Sure. Well, a warning means it's happening, basically, and a watch means it's possible. I'm going to excuse myself to go make a phone call, because I'm just seeing something I don't like, and I want to talk to my family. So Ramisha Shade, our wonderful meteorologist, is at the weather wall right now, and Ramisha, this one down there in Fort Bend is taking on kind of like a hook echo kind of shape. So just bring everybody up to date, if you would.
Mike is exactly right. We are looking at a developing tornado, most likely in this cell. The rotation is starting to get stronger. This is going to be off to the west and southwest of Siena. If you are just joining us, this is a tornado warning, and this is for the Brazoria, Fort Bend County area. And this cell has been showing some signs of increasing rotation. We are looking at the wind flowing towards and away from the radar. You can see the red and pink up against the green, and it's this area here that we're the most concerned about. This is where we have that notch, that rotation getting stronger, and this is why we are concerned that we could have a possible tornado developing in this. At this point, no spotter reports that we actually have a tornado that has touched down, but we do have it indicated on radar, and this is why we are concerned. So if you are in the Siena area, if you are right around Waters Lake Road, Brazos Lake Road, and also Whaley Long Point Road, You're just to the west of that strongest circulation, but this is moving towards the city of Siena. So certainly be taking your tornado precautions seriously. If you're not sure what to do, you need to first try to get inside a strong, sturdy building. If at your last resort you can't get to a building, try to get out of your car, try to find a low-lying ditch. But if you can get inside, get to a sturdy building, get to the lowest level of that building. That could be your school, that could be your home, that could be your office building. You don't want to be on the middle or upper levels, because if a tornado does come through and that damaging wind rolls through, then of course the higher portions of that building would be the first to go. So you need to be on the lowest level. Try to stay away from those outside walls, because they would be the first to go as well. You need to try to find an interior hallway, maybe a bathroom closest to the middle of that building, and also try to protect yourself from any flying debris. You need to try to get to the most interior portion of that building and get as low as possible. Try to protect your head. If you want to grab a mattress off of the bed, get under that, you can do so. You can put a helmet on. Just try to protect yourself from that flying debris, because we are concerned about this rotation developing in this cell. This is going to be just to the west of Siena. Also, we've got, if I step off here, we've got Iowa Colony, and I'm going to go ahead and take this circle off here. This rotation has shifted a little bit to the east, so I'm going to go ahead and clear that off and zoom out a little bit, and you could see where this tornado warning is located. So we've got the cities of Siena. This is just to the west of Siena. Fresno, you're off to the north and east of the strongest area of rotation, and this is going to be impacting Waters Lake Boulevard, and this is going to be right around the Siena area. We also have flood warnings coming out. We've got a flood warning for the Spring Creek near Hagar Road, and that's going to be in effect for the next couple of hours. And we've also got a tornado watch for the majority of the area, but for now we're most concerned about this tornado warning. We also have a severe thunderstorm warning to the north of this tornado warning for the northern portion of this cell. This is going to be over Sugar Land, Missouri City, and down towards Greatwood, pushing into western portions of Houston. So don't let your guard down. If you're in Houston, you're not under that tornado warning right now, but damaging wind, maybe 60, 70 mile per hour wind, will be possible with this cell, along with extremely heavy rain. The potential for rainfall rates around 2 to 3 inches per hour, but we're most concerned right now about this tornado warning, and this is going to be right around the city of Siena. So this tornado warning, once again, for portions of Brazoria and Fort Bend counties. This is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Movement is to the northeast, right around 45 miles per hour. So if you are in the path of this, you certainly need to be getting indoors if you can. Stay away from the windows, stay away from those outside walls, and try to get to an interior room. Get to the lowest level possible, because we are looking at our velocity mode showing the wind inside of this storm, and we do have indications that we could have a tornado developing in this. Right now it is radar indicated, no confirmation from storm spotters that we do have an actual tornado that is on the ground doing damage, but we do have indications that we do have this stronger rotation, and this is getting close to the city of Siena. So I'm going to switch back to our reflectivity mode and show you what we have going on with our previous warning rather. And while I get that going, I'm going to actually reset this and let you know where we have other watches and warnings. Of course, we have several flood advisories out there. We've had reports of 5.2 inches of rain in 3 hours. This is at John Paul's Landing Park in Northwest Harris County. We have, of course, the tornado warning in Brazoria and Fort Bend counties. We have a tornado watch for the majority of the area. We've got several aerial flood advisories. This is a look at this big line of storms rolling through. I just wanted to give you an overview of what we had going on with this entire system, and we definitely have quite a few flood advisories just to the north and west of downtown Houston. Several flood advisories. We also have that potential for the tornado down around the Siena area. So this is what we are going to be monitoring as we go through the next couple of hours. I think the worst of this will push through over the next 2 to 3 hours. So this is going to be a set up a scenario where we have this very heavy rain, likely 2 to 3 inch per hour rainfall rates coming through with some of these heavier storms, and that is resulting in some of these rain totals over 5 inches, just like we had that report for the 5.28 inch rainfall total at John Paul's Landing Park in Northwest Harris County. We've also had a lot of rain in the Cypress area, up around Conroe, up around the Woodlands, 3, 4, 5 inch totals. So that is going to be one of the main issues that we are going to be dealing with this system. But I also want to show you what we have going on with these severe thunderstorms. So if you are in Rosenberg, the worst of it has pushed through your area, but Sugar Land and the downtown Houston area, this is where we are concerned. You can see this severe storm, it's pushing right over Sugar Land, a ton of lightning associated with this. That does indicate that intensity still pretty strong with this cell. All of this is pushing off to the northeast around 40, 45, close to 50 miles per hour. So this is pushing right over the downtown Houston area. So we've got the very heavy rainfall coming down. You can see from our cameras, we've got our storm spotters out there trying to get through this messy, dangerous situation, that rain coming down. We've had several reports of flooding out there. So if you don't have to be out in this weather, please just stay at home, stay at your school, just wait it out, because it is going to be dangerous to travel. There's a lot of ponding of water, there's a lot of flooded roads, and it's just not a good idea to be out in this right now. You can see a lot of lightning right over Sugar Land, right over the Houston area, downtown Houston. Definitely weather going downhill right now. Pearland, you're getting in on some of this severe action. A lot of lightning, heavy rain, and the potential for some damaging wind gusts. But we're most concerned farther south, where we did have that rotation showing up, and that's going to be right around the Sugar Land area, or south of Sugar Land rather. We do have the heavy rain there, but it's going to be right around the Sienna area rather, where we do have that potential rotation showing up. So I'm actually going to stop the radar here, and I'm going to head back to our velocity mode, and I'm going to show you what we have going on with that rotation. All right, so let me take you a little bit farther to the south. Downtown Houston, rotation not looking extremely impressive right now, but I'm going to stop this and show you where we do have the area of concern, and it's going to be between Sienna and also Fresno. This is where we have the tornado warning, and it does include Sienna, and it borders the city of Fresno as well. You can see that we do have that rotation, and it is showing up right around Sienna Parkway, just to the east of Sienna Ranch Road, FM 521 Road, Waters Lake Boulevard, and Paradise Found Drive. So that's where we're going to have the area of rotation where we could have the potential tornado. At this point, no spotters have reported an actual tornado. This is a radar indicated rotation, but it's something that we are monitoring closely. So I'm going to zoom back out and show you exactly where this is. This is going to be just south and east of Sugar Land, Missouri City, west of Pearland. But if you are in Sienna, if you are in Fresno, you certainly need to be seeking shelter, getting to the lowest level, and taking those tornado precautions seriously. I am going to kind of draw a circle around where we do have this area of strongest rotation here, and it's going to be in between Sienna and Fresno. And so this is where we are the most concerned about the possibility for a tornado right now, but we are also concerned not only for a tornado, but also for the potential for some very heavy rain, damaging wind gusts coming right through Houston right now. But of course, a tornado warning takes precedence. So this is what we are concerned about. So please, if you are in the Sienna area, if you are in Fresno, make sure that you are indoors. You are on the lowest level. You are taking this seriously, because we do have the threat for a tornado touchdown at any moment. We've got Chief Meteorologist Mike Iskovitz over here, and we are going to continue to keep you posted on the latest with this. But this is the area of concern right now. Of course, we have a lot going on. Major flooding. We've got the potential for a tornado. We've got a lot of damaging wind. But at this point, we certainly have the area of concern right between Sienna and also between Fresno, where we do have this possibility for a tornado warning. I believe that the director was trying to talk to me. What did you say? Okay. We are going to continue to monitor this. As I mentioned, we are looking at the potential for tornado here, area of concern between Fresno, Sienna, and this is going to be off to the west of Pearland. So I'm going to be monitoring this. I'm also monitoring the National Weather Service chat where we get updates on potential damage, flooding, possible tornado that has been cited. At this point, still no reports that we actually have a tornado that has touched down, but we are concerned that between Sienna and Fresno, we do have the potential for a tornado here. So we're going to continue to monitor this. I'm actually going to go back and show you what we do have on our reflectivity mode. I'm going to zoom out. We've got several flood advisories. Of course, we've got this severe thunderstorm warning. We've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that has just been issued as well. This is going to be down south. This will include Angleton and also Freeport. This includes Friendswood as well, Lake Jackson, League City, and now this includes the city of Pearland. So the good news for you in Pearland, a tornado warning was not issued, but we do have the threat for some damaging wind gusts. So basically, what's the difference between a tornado warning and a severe thunderstorm warning? Well, basically, a tornado warning means that conditions are favorable, that a tornado is developing, that it could possibly touch down in your area, but a severe thunderstorm warning means we're not seeing that strong rotation, but you could have damaging straight line wind, and that is what we are anticipating with this line of storms building. This is just to the west of Angleton. This is going to be pushing into Pearland, the city of Angleton, and also Freeport over the next 15 to 30 minutes. So this is our major concern right now, along with the area right around Sienna. We could have a brief tornado there, but damaging wind threat is starting to increase with this line that you see just to the west of Angleton. This is going to push off to the east, and it's going to hit you in Pearland, League City eventually. Over the next 10 minutes or so, it will be pushing into Angleton and eventually into Freeport. So we've got multiple cells, multiple lines of storms that are building out there. We've also got strong storms back to the west over Wharton, Bay City. We've got cells developing over you. But if you are in Friendswood, Lake Jackson, League City, Pearland, new severe thunderstorm warning for you, and this one goes out until 2:30. I guess a little bit of good news is the fact that a tornado warning was not issued for you, but it is a severe thunderstorm warning, so that does mean damaging wind, potentially 60, 65, 70 miles per hour. That could cause some trees to be blown down. It could cause structural damage, could cause additional power outages with this cell that is pushing off to the east. So we are monitoring that one. We've got a big area of very heavy rain, torrential rain pushing across the Houston area. So I don't want to leave you out in Houston. I'm going to move the radar back up to the north where we do have more storms, more cells rolling through. This is what it looks like in the downtown Houston area right now. We've got a ton of lightning, especially right around downtown and points south between Houston and Pearland. A lot of lightning showing up with this cell, and we also have very heavy rainfall. We've also had reports of rainfall rates around 2 to 3 inches per hour, and this is what we're going to be dealing with as we go through the next couple of hours at least. Time right now is 2:03 p.m. and we will continue with that threat for more of these showers and storms to build up. I do believe the worst of it right now is pushing through the Houston area down towards Manville. It's still west of Galveston, so I do want to zoom in and show you what we have going on for the northern portions of our area, and then I want to take you back through Harris County, through Houston, and then down 2 points south. So no tornado warning up around Humble or Spring or the Woodlands, but we've got very heavy rain coming through at this point, especially right over Humble, Sheldon, Hardin, and it will be pushing into the city of Liberty. We do have some flood advisories back towards the Woodlands, Spring, Humble, but at this point, no tornado warnings. All right, I want to take you into Houston. The good news for Houston right now, no tornado warnings, no severe thunderstorm warnings for you in Houston. So that is the good news. But we've got a very strong storm dumping torrential, very heavy rain over the city of Houston right now. You can see from some of our live reporters out there that we've just got a lot of water covering these highways, covering these roads. And it's just going to be really difficult and dangerous to get around out there for the next couple of hours at least. So my advice, if you don't have to be out there on the roads, just try to stay in, stay at home, stay safe, because we've got a lot of water, a lot of flood reports, a lot of ponding of water on the roads, and you can see it with our radar. We've got several flood advisories. We still have some severe storms out there that I'm going to go over with you in just a minute. But for Houston, just a ton of lightning showing up out there right now, very heavy rainfall. And this is going to continue for at least the next hour or so. So this is certainly a dangerous situation for the Houston area. And we also are still monitoring the potential for that tornadic rotation and damaging winds with that latest severe thunderstorm warning. For more on what's happening out there, let's head over to meteorologist John Dawson.
All right, thanks, Ramisha. Yeah, I was just sort of checking the latest here on a couple different things as far as what is actually happening right now across the area, and they are reissuing advisories and warnings as we speak. So I'm giving it just a minute here to get all this caught up, so make sure I'm able to show you that quickly. All right, so there is still information that perhaps there was a tornado in the Iowa Colony area. That's the area in Fort Bend County that we had a tornado warning earlier. So that's still getting reports on that. If you have any of that information and you want to feed that into us, if you're in the Iowa Colony area, that is where you could potentially have seen a tornado. We're still gathering some sources on that. But that is something that is certainly a concern. I don't think it's currently still happening, but that is where we did see that warning earlier. So let's dive into things a little bit as far as the graphics are concerned. As of right now, we do have the severe thunderstorm warning for basically Brazoria County. It's a little bit of Matagorda, a little bit of Galveston, but for the most part, this is Brazoria County that we're talking about, lining itself right up here pretty much with 288. So I'm going to move this over and zoom in a little bit on where we're focusing at the moment as far as that severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. You can see how quickly these storms are moving in. This is at least about 40 miles an hour that these storms are roaring on through. So it's almost hard to kind of catch up with some of these. This warning officially goes until 2:30. The speed at which this is going, it might outrun that warning where they're going to have to kind of again reissue it just because it's moving so quickly. So let's get a little bit of an idea about where we're talking about. The concerns are going to be happening here fairly quickly as we kind of get things set up here. I'm going to draw in the expectations on what we're looking at these storms moving through this beginning to be a little bit more again of a well-defined line of storms as it continues to move on through. I said it was moving at about 40 miles an hour. If we hold that to be true, then we're talking about some folks beginning to see some of that activity pretty quickly across the area. So lining this up here, Angleton, you're basically seeing it right now. It's moving so fast at about the next 4 minutes or so. Lake Jackson, you've got about 11 minutes. Clute, 14. Freeport in about 22 minutes. And Dickinson at the most 25 minutes. Again, the speed this is moving, you might take a few minutes off of each of those times as this is roaring again through Brazoria County. I'm getting some updates that there could be some more information as far as what's been happening. Again, we're still bringing in a lot of information that's very fresh about that Iowa Colony, potentially a tornado that was on the ground. We're also receiving some reports that there's some flooding at Greenbrier and Rice Village. So that's going to be a little bit further in the city there with Greenbrier and Rice Village becoming impassable with some flooding on the roadway. So we're still gathering. That's all pretty preliminary information. So we're still gathering a lot of that at the moment. We're going to take a look at that velocity product that gives us an idea of that rotation that's happening across the area. And when we see that movement to and away from the radar, that's when we see some concern. So nothing really crystal clear at the moment as far as seeing that still happening as far as perhaps that tornadic. We see a outbound and inbound way that this rotation is taking place. I know you see the radar right here, but our velocity product, we're let me just make sure that we're looking at that from a different perspective. Yeah, so this is the radar radar that we're using for our rainfall, but it's not what we're showing our velocity from right now. So we're getting that spin that's happening a little bit. So we'll switch back to some of that traditional rainfall graphics that you're accustomed to seeing a little bit, just to kind of see the intensity of these storms. I'm going to get, wow, look at the lightning on there. We heard some lightning here at the building in a minute. We're over near the Galleria area, our studio is. So look at the intensity of all that lightning just covering up downtown Houston at the moment. So I'm sure if you're in the Houston area inside the loop for much of the morning, it's been quiet, but things have certainly picked up quite quickly here in the afternoon. We are seeing a lot of lightning, and at the moment though, this batch of lightning where it's the most intense really doesn't even include the majority of where that severe thunderstorm warning is taking place. And I'm just now hearing that we're getting a new warning coming in. It might be right in the middle of that. That is exactly what we're looking at with that possible rotation. So I'm going to get a closer look in on this with our tornado. This will be the same storm that moved through the Iowa Colony area, and this is going to be for the folks in Pearland is the most important place to mention at the moment as far as the cities go. We're going to go ahead and get back over to Ramisha Shade. She's going to go ahead and give us a little bit more of a detail on what's happening with that tornado warning. We're going to get back over to her.
All right, we've got a new tornado warning for Brazoria and Harris County. This is going to be until 2:30 p.m. It's the same system that pushed through the Siena and Fresno areas. We did have confirmation that we did have at least a brief tornado touchdown right around Siena. So that is the same cell, and now it is pushing very close to Pearland. You could see the rotation clearly on our velocity mode with our radar. You could see the red right next to the green, the notch here. This is just to the west of Pearland, so this is a dangerous situation. No confirmation of an actual tornado in Pearland just yet, but if you are in Pearland, this is a serious situation. Hopefully you've gone over your tornado precautions. What would you do if a tornado was headed your way? You need to put that emergency tornado plan into action. If you live in the city of Pearland, you need to get to the lowest level of whatever building you're in and try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Stay away from windows, stay away from those outside walls. Try to get to an interior hallway, a bathroom, a closet. Just do not put yourself in even higher danger getting closer to one of those outside walls. Try to protect yourself from any flying debris, because usually in these tornadoes, that's what ends up being really dangerous, the flying debris. You can grab a mattress off the bed, you can get a helmet and put it on, try to crouch down low and just get into an interior portion of your building, whether it's a business, whether it's your home, whether it's your school. You want to try to stay safe, because this is the potential for a tornado to touch down right around Pearland. This is going to be very close to the Friendswood area as well, but that area of strongest rotation right now pushing right into Pearland. This warning also includes Nassau Bay. Of course, it includes the city of Pearland. It includes Taylor Lake Village, and it also includes Webster. So once again, this is a new tornado warning until 2:30 p.m. Time right now is 2:13 p.m. So these cells are moving quickly, and they are spinning up these possible tornadoes very quickly as well. This is pushing off to the northeast. This will likely cross over Interstate 45. This is going to most likely push just to the north of Friendswood, but even if you're in Friendswood, I would still be getting into your safe place, taking those tornado precautions seriously, because this is certainly a dangerous situation. We don't get this situation often here where we have the potential for these stronger tornadoes, but the setup for today was a situation where we did expect a lot of rotation out there, a lot of instability. The ingredients are certainly in place to have one of these stronger tornadoes to develop. Hopefully it is not a strong tornado. Hopefully it doesn't touch down at all, but we do have this circulation getting stronger. You can see it kind of wrapping up here, that notch, the area where we have the red next to the green, wind moving towards and away from the radar. And when you kind of see it tightly wrapping up like that, that is an indication that we could have a possible tornado. So right now, the strongest of that rotation is right over the city of Pearland. So this is something you need to take seriously. If you are in Pearland, get to your safe place. If you are out driving and watching this on your phone or listening to us, make sure that you try to get out of your vehicle. Try to get to a sturdy building. If you can't make it, just try to get to a low-lying spot, a ditch as a last resort. But you want to try to make it to a sturdy building if possible to try to protect yourself from the flying debris, from the potential for this tornado. So once again, if you are just joining us, we are most concerned about the city of Pearland for this possible tornado. This velocity mode that we are looking at our radar showing that we could certainly have a tornado developing. This is going to be to the north and west of Friendswood, just to the west of Interstate 45, and the most danger from this will come to folks in Pearland. So if you are in Pearland, be taking your tornado precautions. Take this seriously, because this is certainly something that caught our eye. We are concerned about it, and that is why the National Weather Service did go ahead and issue this tornado warning. I'm going to toss it back over to JD. He has the latest on what's happening with this, and I'm going to go check and see if I can get any updates on if we actually have any confirmation of any tornadic touchdowns or any damage. JD?
Yeah, I think we're going to go ahead and confirm this as a tornado that's in the Pearland area. And it might have even been confirmed over in Iowa Colony. We're still sort of catching the information on that. But we're getting word now that emergency management, I can't tell you exactly who that is, but emergency management has confirmed that there was a tornado in the southern portions of Pearland. And that's what we've been showing and talking about here for the last couple of minutes. Now the speed at which this is moving, it's already now over to the east of Pearland. If we look at our rotation here. So it was confirmed in the southern portions of Pearland. By now it's a little bit further over to the east, on the east side of Pearland, because of the speed that this is moving. But again, it was confirmed as a tornado that was on the ground in near Pearland. Now, this, again, reports of it that it was possibly over in Fort Bend County. I think it's the same storm system, but we've got that emergency management that has confirmed in Pearland. It was originally in the southern portions of Pearland, a tornado on the ground. And again, it seems to be really tightly formed from what we're looking at here on our velocity products as far as the winds and seeing those spin that's happening. But it certainly is something that could create some damage, and it is moving quite quickly. So I'm going to get a little bit of a closer look here on what we're talking about as far as this storm. It has now begun to show a little bit more signs of broadening out a little bit, not quite as tightly packed as it was just a few minutes ago, but still, not to say that it's over or that it's done. It could certainly be happening still. Looks like on the east side of Pearland now, so getting towards the Pearland Parkway, in towards the Beltway as well, and even a little bit now moving over to Interstate 45, Fuquay, and some of the other areas there with Alameda, Genoa, continuing to keep an eye on those spots. So I've been showing you that velocity product that shows that rotation. It looks like this is almost even, the worst of it is almost even outside of that warned area now. It took a little bit of a more northerly track than what the warning was. These things move so fast, it's hard to try to put a box around exactly where that might be happening and try to expect for the future. But again, we've had a confirmation that that tornado was on the ground in the Pearland area. We're not confirmed that it's still on the ground, but it was spotted and identified by the emergency management. So I'm going to switch back to more of that traditional rain look at things with our tornado warning that's also on here. And as we've talked about how quickly this is moving, I think they must have just reissued that tornado warning. Yes, they've just decided to continue it and they move it. I talked about how fast it was going. Well, they just reissued that. So let me get this ready. It now looks like if you're on the east side of 45, this is going to be the concern for you. So you see Interstate 45 here. We've been talking about that this tornado is confirmed in Pearland. That rotation is still taking place, and it is still moving quite quickly, at least 40 miles an hour, probably closer to 50 miles an hour that this is moving. And you'll notice our warning now goes out to the east side of Interstate 45. So all along we've been pretty much talking about the west side of 45. Well, now we're talking about the east side of 45. So that's going to start getting into the Pasadena area a little bit more. Also, we talked about Alameda, Genoa, those areas following the Beltway. Seabrook might be a little bit further to the south, but still be ready because you're kind of lined up in that area as well. And then a little bit further to the north, Deer Park is going to be worked into those potential areas as well. So this is that new tornado warning they just reissued. So This was confirmed when it was in Pearland that it was on the ground. It was a tornado confirmed in Pearland by emergency management, and we're still now watching. They've had to readjust the warning, and now we're watching this storm move very quickly as it continues to start to cross over Interstate 45 and move on to the east side of what's happening in that area. So we'll go ahead and switch back to our Velocity product one more time just to see if we can stay caught up with where this rotation is taking place, and give my computer just a moment to catch up with everybody that's happening here. Okay, so there's that warning. We're going to get everything adjusted back to where it should be to show a better idea of what's happening across that area with that potential spin that's happening within the environment. And again, right now it does look like Genoa and Red Bluff Road. That's where we're seeing it. So definitely now this rotation, this spin is on the east side of Interstate 45. So we were talking about getting ready to go to the east side. It's definitely now on the east side of Interstate 45, and we'll continue to see that move to the east quite quickly. So if you're in the Seabrook area, I think that's definitely going to be the next area of concern. So I'm going to switch back to our Velocity, our rain product, to sort of show you where that storm is moving so quickly. And I know at this point, all of us are beginning to see, not all of us, but those of us more in the downtown area are definitely beginning to see a little bit more of that stormy weather as it continues to roar on through and move so quickly, and they're having to readjust things very quickly as well. So I'm going to switch over real quick, check in with some of our information to see if I've got any more update to add. This again has been confirmed as a tornadic thunderstorm that moved through Pearland, now crossing over Interstate 45, getting into the Pasadena, Deer Park, Seabrook, all those areas just to the east side. This has prompted the warning, and that one has been readjusted to the new area. And again, this is a large, it's being confirmed as a large and dangerous tornado. It's now over the South Belt. Ellington, oh, that's another point I forgot to point out. Ellington Field is right over here as well, all in the middle of all of this. So that's the area that we're talking about. The Clear Lake area, the northern portions of Clear Lake would definitely be a part of that. So we've confirmed it on the ground with emergency management, but then radar now is continuing to track this, and we'll be able to use some more as we get more reports coming in a little bit later on a part of that. So the northern portions of Clear Lake, the western portions of Pasadena, those are where we're looking at. So quick reminder, we're talking about a tornado warning. We've moved past the watch in which it's where we could see something. This is a confirmed tornado that's on the ground. If you are in these areas that we're talking about, around Ellington Field would be a very generic, general area. Anywhere near Ellington Field, over in the southeastern portions of our viewing area, that is where this tornado is right now. This is the time to seek shelter. This is the time to move to the most interior room that you have. Remember, you want to be on the ground floor. If you're in a multi-story home, you want to be on the ground floor, away from windows, as much away from all the exterior walls as possible. And if you hear those roars and you know that those are continuing to create a very close situation for you, then that's when you definitely need to even take more precautions by protecting yourself and covering yourself as much as you can. We're going to take a minute right now and check in with another. We've got all sorts of meteorologists here in the building right now covering this confirmed tornado. We're going to go over to meteorologist Ramisha Shade right now for the latest on that rotation that we're seeing with radar.
I do want to continue to show you what's happening with this tornado warning. This is a very dangerous situation, and I want to show you the latest scan from our Velocity mode. And this rotation has really ramped up. This is in between Genoa and also Golden Acres. So this tornado warning until 2:30 p.m., which includes a portion of Harris County, will continue to be a major threat. We've had reports of an extremely large and dangerous, damaging tornado on the ground, and this will really confirm that. What we're seeing with our Velocity mode, this is going to be right around Crenshaw Road. As I mentioned, this is in between Genoa and Golden Acres, Spencer Highway. Genoa, Red Bluff Road, this will continue to impact your area. This is where we do have the strongest rotation. Actually, the worst of it right now, right over Preston Avenue in between Genoa and also Golden Acres. So this is going to be impacting Baytown, Deer Park, Highlands, Pasadena, and this tornado warning now appears to have been extended until 3 p.m. So this is going to be just to the east of Crenshaw Road. But when the National Weather Service issued this tornado warning, they issued it with basically the wording that considerable damage will be possible with this tornado. It has been reported extremely large and extremely dangerous, and it is on the ground doing damage. And this is the latest scan. It's moving very fast off to the northeast, around 45 to 50 miles per hour. So I want to actually come over here and adjust our view so we can see that right now the worst of this is over Golden Acres. So once again, this is a tornado warning. This tornado has been observed. Tornado damage threat has now increased. The tornado damage threat has now increased from considerable to catastrophic. You do not hear that type of wording, that type of terminology from the National Weather Service that often. So we're talking about a tornado that is extremely large, extremely dangerous, could be potentially deadly, and now the National Weather Service is talking about this tornado as catastrophic. That means if you are in the path, if you are in Golden Acres, please seek shelter immediately, because this is a very dangerous situation. We're not talking about the threat for a tornado. We're talking about a considerably dangerous, extremely large tornado on the ground doing damage, and it could be potentially causing injury. So you don't want to be injured. You don't want to be in this situation at all. But if you are in the path of this tornado, you need to be taking your tornado precautions seriously. Get to the lowest level of your home or whatever building you're located in. If you can get underground, that would be the best thing. But if you can't get underground, just get to the lowest level of your home, your office building, your school, and try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. What I am seeing on our velocity mode with this potential for this large damaging tornado is just very, very classic. We see that wind flowing towards and away from the radar. We can clearly see where we have extremely strong rotation, and this is going to be right over Golden Acres, and this is up towards Georgia Avenue, Spencer Highway, and also Red Bluff Road. So this is going to be in between Deer Park and also Golden Acres. But the worst of that rotation right now passing over the Golden Acres area. So this is an extremely dangerous situation. We do have the wording from the National Weather Service calling this tornado extremely large, extremely dangerous, and potentially catastrophic. That means we could have large structures that are at this point being damaged. We could have many people that could be in the path of this, that could be injured. We haven't received any reports of that yet. We don't want that to happen. So we want you to take this seriously. If you are anywhere in the Golden Acres area, right around Spencer Highway, right around Georgia Avenue, we have very strong rotation here. So this is where the tornado is going to be located. This is quickly moving off to the northeast around 45 to 50 miles per hour. So this will be passing very close to Deer Park over the next 5 to 10 minutes, up towards Independence Parkway South. This is going to pass there. East Boulevard, this will be passing there as well. So this is a tornado warning, and this tornado warning does include the cities of Baytown, Deer Park, Highlands, and Pasadena. Now, we just had the latest scan, the latest update with our radar, and it is in velocity mode where we can see the wind inside of this cell, and we do have still some very strong rotation showing up. This is now moving away from Golden Acres, and it's now over the Deer Park area. So this is going to be right around Independence Parkway, right around East Boulevard, and if you are in Deer Park, this is a very dangerous situation. So once again, this tornado warning has been extended through 3 p.m. So it will continue for about another 30 minutes or so, and it is a very dangerous situation. I'm going to step off and see if we have any reports from any storm spotters. It looks like we have a storm spotter about 2 miles to the north of Pasadena, and they are reporting that a large tornado just crossed Highway 8 Damage to structures has been confirmed, damage to businesses and residential. So once again, that is the latest report. I'm reading this right now from the National Weather Service. We have reports of a large and damaging, devastating tornado that was just confirmed, and it is currently moving over Highway 8, or it just crossed Highway 8 rather. Damage to structures, damage to businesses, and damage to residential areas. So this is what we have been talking about. We've had multiple confirmations that we do have a tornado that has been doing damage. It's not radar indicated, it's an actual tornado, and right now the worst of it right around Deer Park and Independence Parkway. So this does not happen that often in this area, but as I mentioned earlier, we do have that set up today where we had that potential for some EF2, potentially larger tornadoes to form, because we had a lot of rotation in the atmosphere, a lot of instability, and unfortunately, we are seeing that scenario come to pass. So if you are in Deer Park, make sure that you are taking your tornado precautions seriously. Stay indoors, get to the lowest level, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We have had confirmation of a tornado touchdown in the Siena area. We now have confirmation that this tornado has touched down, and it is certainly doing damage, and we are going to head back over to Chief Meteorologist Mike Iskovitz.
Thanks, Ramisha. I wanted to just confirm and sort of reiterate what Ramisha was saying, which is that this is a large damaging tornado. If you guys can take Lynx 1, what I've done here is we can get information from the radar about how fast these winds are blowing. And so you can actually see 84 miles per hour on one side, 53 miles per hour on the other side. So you have a difference in between of somewhere on the order of 135 miles per hour of what you would call shear. So just to give you an idea of where this is, because we need to know, this is Pasadena-LaPorte Freeway. So this is the whole industrial petrochemical complex there on the east side of Houston. This is passing just off to the north of that. So this is north of 225. And when you take a look at the bigger picture here, let me go ahead and clear these numbers here. You can clearly see where this rotation is happening. Yeah. I mean, clearly. And it's rarely do we ever see tornadoes as well defined as what we're seeing in this one. And the National Weather Service has now, because they're declaring this a tornado emergency, they've now included this large area here, Cedar Bayou and back over to even Mont Belvieu. Even though it's not hitting you now, you're included in this tornado warning. But I'll tell you, we've all been doing this a long time, and been around here a long time. And this is one of the clearest, radar signatures that I recall seeing. I'm going to query this again.
And you're saying this like tornado emergency. We never really see this for our area.
No.
So
JD, do you ever getting in on a tornado emergency here?
I've been trying to think. No, I don't think of an emergency.
No, I don't think so either. Now, that being said, I think the tornado emergency convention, that wording, is relatively new. I mean, I don't think it's not like the kind of thing that's been around for 50 years, but still, it's rare. And I think we really need to take this pretty seriously over there. So this is east side of Houston, okay? If you have friends, family, Lynchburg Landing, Brownwood, Lynchburg, this is over there. This is south of I-10. It's north of Highway 225. This is now way outside the Beltway to the east of Houston. And approaching Decker Drive, Market Street, Park Street, out there north of Deer Park on the far east side of Houston. And this is getting closer to Baytown. I'm going to loop this for 30 minutes. You can see this thing is zipping along, and it is moving in the general direction just off to the north of Baytown and Mont Belvieu. Let me just go ahead. I want to change the imagery here just for a second so we can get like a second perspective. And again, you can still see with this radar that very well-defined red and green couplet, as they call it. And this thing is moving off toward the northeast. These things have been moving at about 50 miles an hour. So, you know, with that in mind, you know, if you kind of take the general location of where this thing is going and, you know, sort of extrapolate it out, and I mean, you're talking about, you know, this thing being on the doorstep of Baytown within a matter of maybe 10 minutes or so. You know, it could even be something that happens that quickly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a big deal.
We're
it's a
seeing
big deal.
advisories to go ahead and take cover if you're in that area. And again, we just want to reiterate, you know, as low as you can go in your house or whatever building you're in, and resist the temptation to try to be a storm watcher and get video or go outside. You want to get away from all windows and be safe during this time as we watch this tornado emergency. Again, Cove, Mont Belvieu, Highlands, Channelview, Cody, Baytown, Deer Park area, you are under a tornado emergency right now. Yes,
there's Baytown right there,
Yeah.
and this thing's going to be just moving just to the north of you.
And I just want to
Okay.
touch on this, Mike, because we had a comment from Brian on our Facebook stream. He said that he's in a booth right next to Thompson's. So you were saying this is the same storm, the same tornado going through that touchdown in that area, because he said that that the wind shifted. Didn't see a touchdown there personally, but it sounded like a freight train, and a rain was going sideways and up in that area. And that looks like that was on that the tip of that area where that tornado warning first was issued.
Yeah, but you could pretty much trace this whole thing back there to southern Fort Bend County, you know, until it moved across to where it is right now. It's sort of seems like it's come in and out of, you know, tornado status, you know, sort of hopping up into the clouds and then coming back down. But no doubt this is very, very well defined. And I mean, when you look at again, you know, when you just kind of get a sample, this is up around Lynchburg, where if you looked, you might even possibly be able to see a tornado right now. But, you know, you're talking about at least just above the ground, those winds are blowing at 73, 74, 77 miles an hour. And then, you know, just on the other side, it's about 40. So JD is standing by with a look at just a little bit of advice on this is not something that we have to talk about very often because we rarely see tornado emergencies. But again, if you live over there south of Highlands, or I would even say in Baytown right now, JD, I mean, if you live in this area, let's talk about it.
Yeah, I think the key here to remember when what we're about to look at is that so many times we talk about a radar, you know, indicated or possible tornado. This is a confirmed tornado. This is a tornado on the ground. Damage has been observed. Trained spotters have seen it as it crossed over Beltway 8 and moved across the Ellington area. I'm seeing reports about some damage at Ellington Field with a tree or so knocked down. And I just got some text messages from my aunt who lives in Deer Park, and she said it was horrifically frightening as she heard it move through, and she immediately went to an interior bathroom. So that's what I want to talk about. It's a great job, Aunt Sandra, for acting like you're supposed to act when a tornado is near you, but also just sort of that reminder of what you need to do here when you've got that possibility of a tornado near you. And it's going to be, you know, when you look at your house, you want to get to those interior rooms. For sure, get away from anything that's got a window. So that's going to be the first thing you do. Get away from the windows. And then if you can get to the most interior room, that's going to give you a little bit more protection as well. So obviously, we always talk about basements and things like that because that would be the safest thing, but most of us don't have a basement or anything along those lines. Get on the ground floor for sure, and then you want to get to those interior rooms. So sometimes it's not actually a room. Sometimes it's a hallway if you need to do it. Now, for me in my house, our safest room that we have is a laundry room. And so we actually keep a few extra supplies in that closet that's in the laundry room, just in case you get sort of trapped in there a little bit. So that's something to think about as well if you have that safe room that you've got in your house. Plus, the washer and dryer provide some extra protection if things were to start falling. You can get down low and use that. So again, think about where that might be in your house if you're not in the Baytown area right now. That's, again, the most worried spot that we're looking at the moment as that storm continues continues to move on through. I'm going to go ahead and go back to, I guess I'll go ahead and stay with it here and switch over and show you what we're looking at as far as the potential for where that storm is at the moment. I know Mike is getting his velocity maps ready to show a little bit more clarity on where that actual spin is taking place. I'm just going to show you right now. We're talking about Baytown. We're talking about Mount Bellevue, Barrett. Those are all spots that we're concerned with this intense energy that's moving on through. Confirmed that this has been a tornado, and there's likely a good chance that it is still a tornado, and that spin, that rotation is still happening as we take a look at things even right now. So Mike, are we ready to get back over and look at what's happening with that velocity, that spinning of winds?
Yeah, you know, this is just when the National Weather Service refers to something as a tornado emergency, it's just something that so rarely occurs. And now that we're getting, you know, sort of firsthand accounts of people who were on the ground and saying that it was frightening and it sounded like a freight train, and it's all of those things that you don't often hear here in Houston. So we want to make sure we take it seriously. I wanted to just make sure that you know exactly the area that we're talking about. So left-hand side of your screen is downtown Houston. You've got the 610 loop, you've got the Beltway, and then over here in the Baytown area, this is just north of Baytown, right here along I-10. That is where this circulation is currently located. I mean, this is basically moving over Buc-ee's, you know, out there by Baytown. If you guys know that area, Mont Bellevue, you know, I know you guys, it's such a fast-growing area, and there's a lot of, you know, folks that have moved out there. This is one of those situations, you know, you might not even have thought about, you know, dealing with a tornado on the ground like this, but this tornado warning is in effect at least until 3 p.m. if it doesn't get extended. But we have been, you know, taking a look at this really pretty well-defined radar signature. And as I'm clicking here, you know, we can get a sense with the Doppler radar of how fast the winds are blowing, at least a little bit above the ground. And you'll see as I click around here, you know, there's a little spot here that's up to 84 miles per hour, and all of that kind of wraps around the storm here. So this is, you know, translating to what's on the ground. You know, it's doing kind of one of these deals like that, and then, you know, kind of coming up and wrapping around like that. So this is right around the Cedar Bayou area, just on the north side of Baytown. And this is something you want to resist the urge of going out and really, you know, trying to get a view of, because it's just not safe. Let me see if I could take a look at this. I know this is going to look like a mess for a minute because we're kind of going through our radar tools here, but okay, yeah. So this may be a debris signature. Just here to the east of Baytown. You see this right here? You see that? This is so rare to see around here, but I do believe that what we could be looking at right there is debris. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a house, you know, but it does mean that the radar looks and it compares what it is seeing in the radar beam compared to, let's say, the raindrops around it. So anything less than a 1, see, if I click here on one of the red areas, it'll be 1, you know, 0.99, 0.9. That means that all the raindrops are kind of the same. But in this area, the fact that it's a lot less than 1, you see 0.86, that is very likely a debris signature, a tornado debris signature. And what that means is that there is tree limbs, there's leaves, there's dust, there's, you know, any manner of debris that actually is in the sky right now there on the west side of Baytown. So it's a pretty serious deal. And as we move this here, you can see it move right across. There's a road called Pine there. This is just passed right there. Moving, let me just, yeah, I mean, this is, okay, so in this next sort of scan of the radar that it just passed, you can see that that signature's weakened a little bit. You see right there how it was green. So that's where there was likely debris. And then we look at the next scan and it's kind of dissipated a little. So that, certainly may be a good sign that maybe there was a tornado that, maybe the tornado had briefly touched down and then, jumped back up into the cloud. In fact, there you go. So when we take a look here, you can see now that that tornado warning has now been, Baytown's no longer in the warning, and that this warning area is now moving, like I said, closer to the Mont Belvieu area. That's going to be the area where we really need to pay attention right now.
I want to chime in here. It's Caroline Collins, just stepping in the studio as you guys are tracking what's going on. How are people going to know when it's safe? How do you know when you can come out of your house and see, okay, what happened?
It's an excellent question. And right now, I would say if you are, well, first of all, if you're still hearing rumbles of thunder, then you're still close enough to have a threat of lightning. But as far as the tornado threat, the warning right here gets adjusted after the threat has passed. So let's say you're in Channelview. So if you're in Channelview, the tornado threat has passed right now. But over to our east, it hasn't. So that's why this Old River, Mont Belvieu area, Eldon, Cedar Bayou, these are the areas that are still at risk for seeing, this rotating storm. Here's another look. We'll check. Oh man, look at that. I mean, it's just, there's definitely a circulation right in the Mont Belvieu area. So, I mean, if you're there, I mean, this is, I-10 and the West Bay exit there. This is definitely the time to take cover. Definitely the time to take cover. I want to just look at another, it's always good to get multiple views of these things to get a different perspective of what it looks like. Again, it's a different radar, same result, still showing this rotation over there by the Mont Belvieu area. Sorry, it went blank there for just a second. I'll fill it in here. So this, I'm just going to pull this back for the last 15 minutes. There, I mean, look at how this thing has moved from the lower left-hand side of your screen, Lynchburg Landing, and just zipped its way north of Baytown, and then over here, now it approaches Mont Belvieu, and it's really held together. It's really held together. But once it gets past a certain point, that's where the warning is no longer in effect. So this thing is booking along. I mean, it's moving at 50 miles an hour. In fact, right now, it's probably, sometimes these things move so fast, Caroline, that they'll outrun the radar. The radar, it gives us a scan, when it's on its fastest mode every minute, or you'll get a scan every 2 or 3 minutes, depending on what mode it's in. But
wow. Because
this is moving at 50 miles an hour, it's like it outruns the radar. So meaning that wherever you see this location now, which is in Eldon and not quite at Mont Belvieu, it's probably already there.
It's just so scary to hear the sounds that people were probably hearing. The wind was probably super strong.
Yeah.
And of course it's hard to prepare for these things. I know you guys have been warning us all day about the potential, but this, I mean, it just happens. There's no warning for it, really.
And it affects such a small area, and so it is a difficult thing to prepare for. Now, so I've been told we have somebody on the phone that we can talk. Well,
yeah, we do. I think we're trying to get connected, but what I did hear in my ear was that this person that we're going to talk to is in Deer Park, and the tornado would have went right near his house.
Yes.
So I think we're going to hear from him pretty soon.
Yeah. So I mean, hopefully we can get him back on the line. But I mean, we could actually back this up. I mean, it was maybe 30 minutes ago. If we back this up in time, so. Keep an eye on that bright, green-red area. And there's Deer Park. You see Deer Park there at the bottom of the radar? So boom, that's where it moved right over Deer Park. And we have a gentleman, I think, on the phone. I don't know if he's if we lost him. We're trying to get him back right now.
How long would a tornado of this size moving at this pace, how long would that stay over Deer Park? Ballpark?
Not long at all.
Okay.
I mean, it literally a minute.
Okay.
Maybe 2 minutes. And the other thing is, I've never seen, or I don't recall seeing, a tornado staying on the ground for this long. This is really what you call a long track tornado.
Wow.
I mean, this thing has gone from Pearland all the way over here to now. I mean, it's been on the ground for 31 miles. That is
Wow.
rare around here. We very rarely see a 31-mile track of a tornado like this.
I want to make sure that people know what we're looking at the bottom left side of our screen. We see a lot of flooding. Do we know an exact location of that? It looks pretty bad.
Oh, it's in Spring.
In
Oh,
Spring.
they're stuck. Oh.
Yeah. I mean, so you can just see how much rain that this system, these storms, this tornado is dumping on the area when you see images like that, people stuck. If you look in the back behind that white car, you can see a black car. Look how high that water is.
Yeah, they had about roughly 5 inches of rain, but it came down in about an hour and a half. That's the
Okay.
thing, is the rain came down so fast there in Spring, in the Woodlands, in Tomball, even in Katy, in Brookshire, in those areas. I mean, that's just that's like flash flooding, street flooding.
And that's the red part on the radar. That's where the heaviest rain is?
Yeah,
Is
so
that
this
correct?
area here, it's over with.
Okay.
So that they're not going to get in on any more of that heavy rain there in Spring. But I'm worried about that guy that was trying to push the SUV out. That's just, they need to get a tow truck and or somebody
But this
with a
is
winch or something.
Perfect example of when you see high waters in areas, try to just get out, because obviously maybe this person didn't see this giant curb there. It looks like
Yeah, it almost
they went
looks
over.
like, they kind of like went down into a little, like they jumped the curb, you know, and now.
Because
this
it's hard
just-
to see when the roads get so flooded like this. You don't know where you're driving. So what is your best bet? Turn around, don't go there, don't
The
drive.
best bet is always to stay where you are, you know, and when there's flash flooding taking place like this, a lot of people do get impatient, and I would too, I understand. You know, you get impatient, especially you're at work, and I'm telling you, kids are getting let out of school right now. So you've got parents at school. They're either going to the school to pick up their kids, or they want to, you know, instead of having them take the bus, they want to pick them up from school, or maybe they want to go make sure they meet them at the bus stop, just make sure everybody's safe. And you get stuck in a situation like this. So it looks like nobody's hurt here,
No,
because
it's
obviously
just-
but it's going to be, you know, obviously a very expensive repair.
Now back to the tornado. How do we know? Is it still on the ground? How do we tell?
Well, right now we can only use really radar to track that, and luckily we have the great technology to let us see rotation within a cloud. I mean, this is something we didn't have before the late 80s, and didn't have it at this level, you know, until much more recently. And I'm telling you, I mean, it's just this Mont Belvieu area. This is this is a fast-growing area. It's like a sort of a sprawling suburb now, where they're building a lot of new houses, and so, you know, I could just imagine somebody who like just moved into their house yesterday,
Oh,
you know,
my gosh.
and now they've got this thing passing overhead. It would really be a shame. But the good thing about all this, you know, I'll try to put I suppose a positive spin on some of this, is that this mess is coming to an end faster than expected. So it looked like it was going to hold off until, you know, 5 o'clock this afternoon. Now it looks like, you know, give it another 30 minutes, and for most areas it's going to be over with. It's all the energy is going with it, and so if you're in Houston westward, it's over. But you know, in fact, even down here, we don't want to ignore you down here in Space Center and Santa Fe and Dickinson and Seabrook and communities around Galveston Bay. You're going to be in for high winds. But right now, this is the area of concern because of this rotation potential. I will tell you, though, he got out?
Oh, he's out. All right,
got
they got
out.
the car out.
Yay!
They're in shallower water now. Oh, what a
But
mess.
now, oh my gosh, I hope that thing's not damaged, though.
Oof, that was rough. Please be careful if you're out there driving.
Yeah, and-
water
and-
can be deceiving.
It can, and you know, just don't, you know, God, don't hurt yourself trying to. We're lucky that guy got the SUV out of there, and that it doesn't look like anybody was really injured. Hopefully everybody's okay. But the rotation that's over here on the east side is starting to look less well defined. It's sort of shearing out. These things will sort of stretch out and not be necessarily like a circular rotation. And I think we can get a sense for that if I just put it back in time. Like here, it looked much scarier, looked pretty scary there, especially right there, right when it was moving into Mont Belvieu. And now it's passed over and it's not looking as maybe as scary, but I would still, in that area, I don't want you to kind of leave your safe space just yet, you know, for maybe another 10 minutes or so until that passes. And then from there, it might actually move into southern Liberty County too, like this Moss Bluff area could get in on some of the you know, high winds and heavy rain and so forth as well.
Well, while we are focusing on this tornado warning that's happening to the east of Houston, there are other areas, though, that are getting a whole lot of water, like we saw in those images that we were showing you. So just be careful. If you don't have to go anywhere, don't go anywhere, and take it slow and get away from flooded areas. I can see on social media, you know, other areas in our viewing area, people are tweeting and messaging that Woodland Hills is pretty bad right now. There's areas that have a lot of water there.
Yeah.
So it's really a widespread weather event that we're going through right now, with the focus obviously on the tornado warning that's happening now to the east of our viewing area.
You know, there are some, I was talking with Coco Dominguez before, and there are a lot of high water locations. You know, I'm just looking at Houston Transtar right now, and they are all over the place. North, south, east, west. There are flooding locations everywhere. So maybe we could, I don't know if somebody's listening, maybe we could have somebody look into that and possibly find some Transtar cameras for us, because we're seeing on the website a lot of high water locations on 59 Southwest Freeway. There's a few of them on the North Freeway, some of them on 288. It's being classified as roadway flooding danger. But I imagine, in fact, you know what? Look, I'm seeing a lot of high water locations here. North Freeway at Patton Street, 69 East Tex Freeway right at 610, high water location. So maybe we could. Okay, so Mark Coleman, our producer, is telling me that we're going to be able to pull up a Transtar map here.
I know that we have a message on Twitter. Someone just wrote in, Woodland Hills is flooded, you know, several inches of water in Kings Manor. So it's definitely an issue.
There were locations there on the north side that had about, you know, like I said, about 5 inches of rain. And what was incredible to see, though, was that they had severe storm after severe storm after severe storm after severe storm, and it was like they could not catch a break there in the Woodlands or Spring or Montgomery. In those spots, it was like I think they had about 3 or 4 severe storms in a row that just set up in a train. And so I imagine some of your neighborhoods are going to be flooded, but you know, this, as much flooding as we're seeing, this really, as Houston floods go, we've, you know, this is like a baby flood compared to, you know, but it's still, obviously it's still dangerous. But
I feel like it's one of those days,
we're hardy.
though, like you said, kids are getting let out of school, people are coming home from work. It's not like when a hurricane would come when everybody's prepared. This was sort of just like, okay, this tornado has now touched down in the eastern part of our viewing area. People were hearing these crazy winds and loud sounds and noticing damage. You're driving to maybe get your kids from school and you run into this random flooding. It's almost, I know you guys have been warning us, but it's almost unexpected.
But that's what happens, is that you're living your daily life and you're doing your daily routine, and you know it's going to rain, you know, and maybe even you have the Fox 26 weather app, you know, which would warn you that there's something, you know, a warning in effect for your area. But when it comes down to it, most people are, myself included, you know, most people are going to chance it. You know, because you need to get where you want to go, and you've got things to do, and they're going to chance it. So given the way things are right now, just please take it slow. You can see on this map that the bright red is really starting to move out toward the east. And so we're talking about Liberty County, Chambers County, and a thin line of some intense rain from the Space Center down to Dickinson, and then all the way down to around Lake Jackson, Freeport. But once this moves through, the severe weather threat is over.
I do want to ask you, and I want to remind everyone, I'm a news anchor, I'm a journalist, so I'm not part of the team of meteorologists here. What caused the tornado? I mean, was it perfect conditions today? Is it for a tornado, or how did that even come about? Because I know they're rare here.
Ones like this, yes. And what we had today was, in fact, I had a graphic. Maybe we could check in with Ramisha, in fact, in a minute. I know that Mark was just telling us, Mark, were we going to toss to? Okay, Gabby Hart is out of the field right now, but that's an excellent question, and I think Ramisha can address it coming up. But Gabby Hart, braving the elements out in the field. Gabby, where are you?
Well, right now I'm at Wesleyan and Bissonnette, and I heard one of you guys say that, oh, this is a baby flood. Well, let me tell you, if this is a baby flood in Texas, then Texas is just different because we see cars out here stalled out in the water. I mean, take a look at this red car right here. They can't move. And then come on and walk with me this way, Doug, if you could follow me. There is a car also trapped in the water right here. And look at what these cars are going through as they just try to push through this water. I mean, this is absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like it. I can tell you that we spoke with 2 drivers who were stuck in the middle of this high water. They actually helped one another push their cars out of that high water. We saw them, their pants were soaking wet up to about their waist as they pushed their cars out of the high water. One of the drivers telling us that they did so because he started to feel his car sway in that water as the water continued to rise. You can also see that the fire department is on scene over here across the street. They've been directing a line of traffic that was just piling up, lined up down that road, scared to come through. Well, they've been directing them through this parking lot and around this high water. You guys, keep in mind, this is in the middle of a very busy shopping center, a shopping plaza. People might have been on their lunch breaks from work and probably having to call their bosses and say, hey, I can't make it back in. I'm stranded in high water. And if that boss is watching, I want to be the one to tell you they are not telling you a lie. They are telling you the truth. Some very dangerous and crazy conditions out here. So we want to remind everyone at home that if you see this high water, turn around. It's not worth risking your engine, your car, or your safety. We're going to check back in with you, of course, later. But for now, I'm going to toss it back to you guys in the studio. I'm Gabby Hart, Fox 26 News.
Wow.
So there, and this comes to us from where, producer Mark? Oh, from Channelview Stadium. So this is at least a funnel that was spotted over there in the Channelview area on the east side of Houston. And that's definitely a scary sight, no doubt about that. Gabby's location there, where she was, is not far from the station. It's down Wesleyan and Bissonnette. It floods there often.
Oh, wow.
I've been stuck in a flood there because I know it.
Wow. Well, I know that she was originally going to head to the Woodlands, so they must have come across that and said, wow, this is pretty bad. We got to show this. That was crazy. And as she said, be careful. A school bus drove right through there. So
that's what I think concerns. And there are going to be a lot of parents out there that always say, why didn't school that out earlier? And it's hard
to predict.
It's hard for these school districts to make these decisions. But the good news is that the buses are high. The water's not moving really. It's not like a rushing torrent, you know. So I want to just, you know, it's like I feel like I've been, because this is what I would want to hear if I were you at home, is that I think the kids are in a pretty safe situation right now. Obviously, unless you're stuck under one of those really, really intense downpours that's down in Galveston or Brazoria County right now. The rest of the area, I think the kids are safe. If they're coming home on the bus, I think they're going to be just fine. You know, the buses are real high profile and, or not high profile, but high ground clearance. And I think that they're in a fine position. And you know, when I said this is a baby flood, I didn't mean to make light of it, but I mean, as Houston floods go, this is not, you know, the life-threatening
but a good reminder
variety.
that only a couple inches of water can take your car.
Can cause a lot of damage to the car. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, at the very minimum, we're going to see, you know, a lot of expensive repairs.
Oh my goodness.
Then you always have to be careful that if you are buying a used car, that you inspect it thoroughly to make sure that it's not a flooded car.
Ooh, that's a good point, especially
it happens
in this area.
all the time
Oh,
around
man.
here. Caroline, if you want, we can also check in with Ramisha, who I know, you know, you guys have been doing an excellent job in the evenings.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Ramisha, it's good to be with you. I know you've been working hard all day. I had asked Mike a little bit earlier, what caused this tornado today.
Well, we just had a very unstable atmosphere out there, Carolina. We still do for eastern portions of our area, especially. And speaking of that, we have a new tornado warning. So we've still got a lot of rotation in the atmosphere. These storms are spinning. We've got the moisture, we've got the lift, we've got the instability. And yes, we still have the potential for more tornadoes to develop. In fact, National Weather Service just issued a new tornado warning. This one is going to be until 3:30, and this is just to the east of Mont Belvieu, east of Old River Winfrey, and this rotation continues to be just to the north of Interstate 10. This is north and east of Cove, so this is going to be right around FM 563, just north of Interstate 10. We can still see that area of rotation. It has gotten weaker, but now and again, it starts to pulse up a little bit, and it has pulsed up enough for the National Weather Service to issue yet another tornado warning. This includes the city of Devers, and this is until 3:30 p.m. So what do you need to do if you are in any of the areas or close to any of the roads or highways that I just mentioned? You need to be taking those tornado precautions seriously. It's time to take action now, especially if you are just to the east of Mont Belvieu, east of Old River.
Hey, it's 3-ish on a Tuesday. It's probably about 5 after by now, right? We've got a little late start here.
Blame the weather.
That's right. We blame the weather on everything. Randy Wallace of Fox